women's soccer show. I'm Anne.
And I'm Sara.
And it's here. It's official. NWSL opening weekend. It happened. Sarah's very excited by this.
I'm very excited by this also because this is the time of year where everything comes together, right? We've got WSL. Yes. We've got NWSL, and now the Champions League quarterfinals have kicked off, or they are kicking off Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. It's everything. It's everything we could ask for and more. It's soccer basically every day that you could want. It's so great. And if you're in the US, March Madness is about to start. So there's literally no reason whatsoever to leave your couch. Just sit and watch sports all day, every day. We love it so much.
Okay, as a British person, is March Madness a specific sport, or is it just certain sports? Or
it's basketball. It's college basketball.
I thought it was basketball, but I didn't want to show my ignorance.
No, it's okay. It's college basketball, but the tournament specifically is the NCAA tournament. So actually, this tournament happens for every single sport collegiately, but it's only like a huge national deal that everybody gets into for basketball, and it's really, really fun. I've already got my bracket. I've got the clever name and everything. But that's not what we're here to talk about. However, there is another bracket that we will get into, which is the Champions League bracket. Yes. That's one of the things we're talking about today. We're going to kick it off with the NWSL, an opening weekend of the regular season. Then we're going to go into Champions League. And then in the back half of the episode, it's none other than the WSL, because there were some wild results that we're very excited to discuss. And then, Allie, we've got a really great interview that we're so excited to share.
Yeah, we're so excited to talk about this. So we have got an interview with two amazing creatives. They have written, produced, and starring in this short indie film called Solars United. So we talk to them all about that and all about their footballing journey. And we cannot wait to share with you all of that good stuff.
So let's just do it.
So to kick it all off, let's talk NWSL opening weekend. So excited that it's back. So excited to see what's going to happen. And so we're going to give you a little taster of each game and what our takeaways are from that game. So
wait, before we do, we talked about hits on the last episode last week. And Mike was kind to us to cut out most of the argument we had from the final edit. I will say to everybody who listened, though, we have a Fits and Kits time scheduled to record. So look out for the drop. We're going to take an entire episode of Fits and Kits, and we are going to discuss all of these brand new kits in the NWSL. And Allie's going to get absolutely destroyed for their opinion that they all suck, because they're wrong. Okay, moving along.
They do all suck.
Nope. Anyway. We're moving along.
Speaking of teams that have got kits that suck, we have to start off with the opening game, which was Orlando versus Chicago. Now, when we talked about the NWSL last week, we did say that it could be a little bit rough for Chicago.
Yeah, well, you did. I was like, Chicago might be okay.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to get harder than this competition. Like, I think pretty objectively, Orlando are like the best team right now. So they kicked it off in a tough way, Chicago did.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So for anybody who doesn't know, Orlando took it 6-0 in this game. And it was the Orlando show. You know, 6 goals, 4 different goal scorers, 2 for the legend that is Barbara Banda.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, strong performance for Orlando. They picked up exactly where they left off. This is a team that, you know, they didn't see much movement at all between all of the key pieces, and they just came back and started right where they left off. Barbara Banda certainly has too. You know what? The big takeaway for me on this game about Barbara Banda is that everybody was out here on social media being like, oh my God, she's really developed as a less selfish player. And I'm out here being like, Barbara Banda, one of her biggest strengths has always been is that she is not a selfish player. And that was on full display, in my opinion, in this game right here. I had the chance to talk to her at the NWSL 2025 Media Day this year, and I asked her about if there's a little competition between who's the top goal scorer, because she's such good friends with Shawinga. And she was like, no, not at all. It's all about the team for Barbara Banda. And that is clear in how she plays. It always has been. And now that everybody is able to plan for Barbara Banda because they are aware of what she brings, she's just being able to distribute it. She's like, okay, you want to mark me? Fine. So-and-so's going to score. So-and-so's going to score. I mean, she did a great job. That was a big takeaway for me from this game. And then Chicago, I'm holding off on passing judgment because, like, it's easy to look at this game and be like, ooh, it's going to be a long year for Chicago. And I think a lot of people are saying that. However, it's really hard for your first game to come against an Orlando team where, yes, it was technically Orlando's second game because they played in the Challenge Cup, but also this is an Orlando team that doesn't have a ton of new faces, so there's not a lot of adjustment. On the Orlando side, there's a lot on the Chicago side. So I'm holding off on passing judgment for Chicago, but definitely a tough one if you are a Stars FC fan.
Are we going to talk about the fact that we've bullied Boss Nation into changing their name?
Let's. It's official, you guys. Boss Nation FC is no longer. They posted in basic. I forget what the post said, but it basically, without saying the word,
coming soon FC, I believe.
Yeah, without saying it, they were like, "Okay, fine, you guys win. We'll pick a new name." Thank God.
I just wanted to get in there because we were talking about rebrands and the Chicago changing their name, and it was like, yeah, we've bullied Boss Nation into changing it to something else.
Good job, everybody. Good job. This was the correct use of online social media bullying. It's the only correct use for it.
Moving on, we've now got to talk about Houston Dash versus Washington Spirit. Now, Washington took the game 2-1, but it wasn't a demolishing. It wasn't a terrible performance by Houston. Are things looking up for the team formerly in orange?
What do you mean formerly in orange? Now? Oh, I see. Because their new kits are purple and black, and they're gorgeous too. Oh, man. Houston is one of the teams, if not the team, that I have been highlighting for a while now this offseason, being like, this is a team you have to keep your eye on. I love the offseason moves they made. It was an absolute disaster last year across the board, on the field, off the field. A rotating cast of head coaches. They've got a new GM, a new head coach. They've got basically an entirely new lineup. And I love what they've been putting together in the offseason. Now, the question was, how is that going to translate onto the field? And in my opinion, for a first performance, A+. I really loved it. I mean, they look fantastic for their first game because everybody has to remember, this is the starting point. This was their first game under the new head coach, together as a unit. And I think they're going to be great this year. I see them as one of the teams that will contend for one of the lower number playoff spots. On the Washington side, I mean, we saw them in the Challenge Cup. We know what they can do. They're just as strong as they were last year. They've just as deep a bench as they did last year. It's nice to see some players who were injured coming back in, like Trinity Rodman got a little time. Corey Bethune didn't see playing time, but she was on the roster. I mean, last year's Rookie of the Year. Excited to see her back on the field. So it was kind of like a Houston team that was coming into themselves in their first game and trying to figure it out against a Washington team that wasn't at full strength. And I thought it was a really fun game, fun matchup. I love how both of these teams play soccer, and I really enjoyed both of them. Houston had a great first showing. Washington, you know what they're going to do, and they showed that as well. I thought it was really interesting to see the battle of the U.S. Women's National Team goalkeepers. I
was going to say, the battle of the GK Union.
Yeah, two goalkeepers who are really vying for like the U.S. #1 spot. I thought while Campbell let in one more goal than Kingsbury, I thought she showed really well. Kingsbury was a little shaky at times. Look, Jane Campbell is just one of those players that's going to continue to force Emma Hayes. With how she plays in the NWSL, she's going to continue to force Emma Hayes to call her into U.S. Women's National Team camp. It's fun to see. She's a fighter. She's gritty.
Moving swiftly on to the... oh dear, this game. Casey Curran versus Portland. Casey, unsurprisingly, took this game 3-1. Portland's woes just keep on growing, do they not?
Yeah, I want to hear what you have to say about Portland. For me, it's really simple. We talked about how Sophia Wilson, formerly known as Smith, is now pregnant, and this is a team that was built heavily around knowing that they have her in the attack. But I'm going to throw in, we talked about that. We didn't talk about the fact that Morgan Weaver is also missing. And Morgan Weaver is a very underrated forward in the NWSL. She can play, she can score goals, she pulls defenders away from other forwards. And Not having her as an attacking piece also really hurt Portland. You just look around the field and it's like, okay, but who's going to score? Like, that's a great midfield, but who's going to score? Yeah, not the strongest of showings for Portland.
You can't blame it on one player. You can't.
No.
But having suffered through 2 seasons of Mackenzie Arnold, she don't help. And I'm sure they're going to be hoping that there's other keepers back sooner rather than later. Because I had a look at these goals and some of them were just, oh dear. Just an oh dear. But you're right, there is no goal scorer for Portland.
Mm-mm.
There's just nothing going up top. You know, their goal came from a midfielder. It came from Moultrie.
Yeah.
And if that's where they're going, and like they have got some good players. Jesse Fleming's a great player.
That's what
Sam
I'm
Coffey's
saying.
a great player.
But that's a great midfield. It's all in the midfield.
Yeah.
Hina Sugita, Jesse Fleming, Sam Coffey, Olivia Moultrie. Great. Where are your goals coming from?
Yeah. And talking about the other side, I have to say it's great to see that Kansas City are still building and captivating that momentum that they had last season. KC were such a fun team to watch last season. They played some great football, and it seems like that's going to keep happening.
Mm-hmm.
That made me happy to see teams still carry on. And
Agreed.
Schwinger got on the board. Dabina got on the board. Like, it was a good day to be a KC fan.
Certainly.
But not a good day to be a Portland fan.
You know what? They've had a lot of wins. It's okay. They'll be okay. Portland fans, stick with it. It'll get better. Maybe not this year, but it'll get better.
Not this year, but soon, maybe. Moving on now to the spate of 1-1 draws, and the first one is Racing Louisville versus North Carolina Courage.
Okay, I'm going to sum this up hopefully with one sentence. Racing surprised me in a positive way. North Carolina surprised me in a negative way. I thought Racing were not going to look as cohesive as they did, but you can really see the picture coming together for them, and I love it. Also, great kits. Love the green. North Carolina, you see where the hole is and you see what they need, but I expected them to be a little more explosive from the jump. Maybe they will be. They had 79% of possession, just didn't have the goals to show for it. North Carolina. I loved seeing Jaden Shaw at the 10, but there needs to be like a threat above her at the forward position. That's a big missing piece. Like, I love Lucy and Sanchez also on the wings helping in the attack. Maybe they'll go with like a dual 10 with Sanchez and Shaw, but they're missing goal scorers. 79% of possession, 1 goal. That's not what you want. But I mean, on the other hand, Racing, like I said, a lot better than I expected, way more cohesive than I expected. And you talk about a team that can score, like their bread and butter this year is going to be the counterattack. You look at who they have. Janine Becky, Emma Sears, Sav DeMello, Ari Borges, and I think that their bread and butter will be the counterattack this year. And I think that they can be pretty lethal with it.
Interesting. That's good news for you racing fans out there, because I know there's quite a lot of you out there. Let's talk about our, is it SoCal Derby? Is that what
I
it's
don't
being
even know.
termed
I think
as?
it's called El Clasico, right? SoCal, I don't know. You know what? Southern California people, we're so sorry. We had a whole week to Google this and we did not. I think I don't know. Southern California Classic. Let's do that. We can title it what we want to title it for the purposes of our show.
Exactly. So with that great intro, it was Angel City versus San Diego Wave, who did have a very famous spectator at that game. Their former head coach, Casey Stoney, was there watching San Diego.
She sat on a cooler. Just kidding.
She sat on a cooler for good old times.
Were you shocked to see her there? Like, why do you return to the scene of the crime if you're Casey Stoney? For everything that she said about how terrible that was.
Yeah, because like people were like, oh, she was watching her Canadians, but I'm like, there were other Canadians.
Yeah,
she could have gone. She could have gone to the Racing Louisville game to go watch Becky. She could have gone to Portland. Yeah. She could have gone.
Well, I guess there were other. Technically, she chose an away game. Like, she went to LA. She did not go to San Diego.
That is true. That is true. So let's talk about this game, because let's be honest, this was not a classic. This was not a good game of football.
Honestly, I don't even know if this game warrants talking about. This was the last game of the weekend, and I just remember turning it on and being like, this is not great football, y'all. I'm so sorry. Two teams that I think are both kind of in a case of missing identity. I don't even know who to get to first. Maybe let's talk about Angel City, because Sydney LaRue dropped a huge announcement to start kind of right before this weekend.
Yeah, for those that didn't hear or see it is that Cinderella has announced that she is taking a step back from football. It's not a retirement. Let's get that clear.
Yeah.
She's taking a step back for her own mental health and for everything that's going on. So she is just not going to be playing for a little while.
Yeah, she said that she'll return like she always does. And she also clarified. She was like, I know that there's speculation out there, so I'm not pregnant, just so everybody knows this.
There's not another LaRue.
Right. I mean, I love this for her. I'm glad she's putting her mental health first. It was an Angel City, though, then without Sydney Leroux, without Ellie Riley. They added Alana Kennedy and Savvy King. So it's 2 new players right up the spine of the team. And when you're adding 2 new players to the spine, that's quite a bit to add and change around. It was just both teams that had a lot of new faces trying to figure out on the field. And for Angel City, I think the youth are going to carry, but they need more than Alyssa Thompson and M.A. Vignola. I think those 2 are the stars of this team. They have been for a while now, but you need more than that. You need more people to step up than that. For the Wave, honestly, it was just so meh. Cascarino was the entire attack, in my opinion. It was Cascarino, period, the end. And for a team that has attacking threats like Maria Sanchez, Kenza Dolly, Savannah McCaskill, Carusa, why?
Adriana Leon has just turned
right.
up.
Why is Cascarino doing everything? So weird to see Jonas Eideval on the sideline of a San Diego Wave game. I could not handle that.
Moving on to Utah versus Bay. Now, you said that you felt Utah could be a surprise team. They seemed the better of the 2 teams.
Absolutely.
But it was a 1-1 draw.
They seemed the better of the 2 teams. They seemed more in control, more in the know of what they were trying to do and being able to accomplish it. For Bay FC, it was they didn't look like they had structure. It didn't look good. They have so many great pieces in terms of so many great players, but just was not organized whatsoever. I don't know. That could come from a lot of different places. And we talked last week about what's happening off the field in Bay FC. That obviously could impact what's going on the field. Who knows? But credit to Utah Royals because they came out and they looked good. Mandy McGlynn had a keeper assist to Bianca St. George. By the way, speaking of NWSL legends, Bianca St. George certainly is one. And an underrated player that I think's already shining in Utah. Utah's fun, man. They're attacking oriented. I just think they're a really fun team to watch right now. And you look at who they've been able to pick up. I mentioned that I thought they would be attacking oriented and that they're going to be better than people think because they have Ali Sednor in that center position and she can score. We've all seen that. But then you look around the field and who else do they have? Oh, they've got a few other players who can put the ball away. And they're playing a really high line. Mandy McGlynn is basically playing as the 12th attacker. That's how high their goalkeeper is staying. So they're going to live and die in some really crazy ways, which is going to be really exciting to watch.
And then the final game we're going to cover, which is the one that got all of the headlines for the wrong reasons for 2 things. It is Seattle versus Gotham. So the first headline was the red card for Mandy Freeman. Was it a red, Sarah? Was it a red?
Yeah. She came in from behind. It was a pretty dangerous goal. I don't really know how else to say that, but yeah, I think it was. I think people are annoyed at how many cards were doled out across the weekend, and I think that's super fair. I agree, but I don't know. That when you come in from behind like that, it's hard to argue. But I know the main thing you want to talk about is not that, Allie, because I think the thing you have most feelings about is that we saw the youngest player to date step on the field in a professional women's soccer game in this country, and that is 14-year-old McKenna Whitman, subbed onto the field for Gotham FC. Some people are celebrating this. Some people don't know how to feel. Some people think it's terrible. Where do you fall?
I'm the last. I hate it. I hate it so much. I cannot describe to you how much I hate it. And I would hate it if it was over here in the UK before people start calling me an American hater. But it specifically riles me because it is in the US, because over here we have, and I talk about it all the time, we have an academy system where we have players as young as 8 go through training and play in age-appropriate matches and keep growing and growing and training that way. The States don't have this, so she's come into a fully professional environment at 14. I know she had to go to court to make this legally happen, and I don't like it. A 14-year-old should not be playing against grown adults. They shouldn't. I'm sorry, but they shouldn't. She's got so much growing to do, both technically, physically, and just everything. It just doesn't sit right with me. So there's a reason we have age appropriate camps for internationals. This just rankles me so much. And I get that she wanted to get where she was going quicker, but I don't like it. I really don't like it.
I mean, I don't like it for a lot of I feel like we talked about this with the Olivia Moultrie stuff that happened, like, must have been 4 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
Maybe even more. For everything that we always talk about with not just the NWSL, but with women's soccer and all of the systemic abuses of power that exist and the lack of guardrails to defend against it. And to willingly put a 14-year-old into that environment that, let's face it, it's just less geared towards development. When you come into the professional league, you need to be a pretty fully formed adult and player. And obviously you're going to develop as a player. But I mean, I think players develop the most at the collegiate level and before that. And it's funny because we had Brian Sorensen on last week, the head coach of Everton Women. And he spoke a little bit about the differences between the NWSL and the WSL. And he said that the WSL is a better league because while you have superstars in both leagues, in the NWSL, you have a superstar playing against like a high school player or a training player. And the gap in talent is so huge in the NWSL. And you don't necessarily have that gap in talent within a certain team in the WSL. And I think he nailed it. I think he really nailed it. I think that's correct. And yeah, I think the NWSL is the most competitively top to bottom. That's why you're seeing so many draws. Any team can beat anybody on any given day. But is that a function of something like this, where you do have such a variety of talent across teams? And the star of the U.S. Women's National Team could be playing alongside, a 15-year-old in training. And is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? And who's it a good thing for and who's it a bad thing for? I don't know. All I know is that, when I saw that happen, Allie, my stomach kind of dropped. And I was like, oh, I'm not celebrating this. I don't feel good about this.
I do not like, and Brian's right in the fact, and that's why we have academies over here that help you develop that way in an age appropriate way. And sometimes you will get a breakout star from the academy who is 16 playing in the first team football. That does happen. I'm thinking of like Kiara Keating, who played in the Manchester City Arsenal game at 17. That was her first professional start. But she'd been in the Manchester City Academy a long time, and then that set up a long time. It just makes me feel icky.
Yeah.
It just makes me feel icky, and I don't like it.
I get it. All right. Final thoughts. See, we didn't really touch on Seattle, but to be honest, I don't really think that there's too much to say.
They had one shot and they scored it.
Can you believe that? They had one shot on goal and they have one goal. That's crazy. That's just wild. Excellent efficiency for Seattle. That's what we'll say. All right. In closing, I'm going to divide these, if it's okay with you, into just 3 categories. Let's do it. Let's do top teams that are showing well. Let's do middle of the road teams that I'm going to call like, these teams could be great. We could see them bump up. And then we're going to have the third category be lots of work to do, because in celebration of St. Patrick's Day, it's an O and then an apostrophe. Lots of work to do.
I did wonder if the Irish was coming out.
Top teams. I think it remains true to the top 3 that finished last year. It is purely Orlando, Spirit, and Kansas City. They were the only 3 teams that looked like they were in not beginning of the season form. Middle of the road, in other words, could be great. We're going to go with Utah. Exciting. Utah and Houston are like my really big, exciting teams to watch right now. North Carolina, I expected more from them, but they're still great right now. Louisville, again, pleasantly surprised by them. Bay, listen, it was a disaster, but you have so many great players. I refuse to believe that it will just all be nullified this year. I think you can figure it out. And then finally, lots of work to do. I'm sorry, I'm going to put Gotham in that category. I think a lot of people are putting Gotham in the could be great category. I don't know. They don't have a deep bench, and that always concerns me. With teams, same with Seattle, Angel City, San Diego, frankly not impressed yet, and Chicago.
Over now to Sarah's favorite European competition. It is Champions League, baby. We are in the quarterfinals. Can you believe? that it has gone that quickly.
Finally,
already.
We've been waiting so long for this game, this round to start in all of these games. I'm so happy it's here.
So these games kicked off, well, technically yesterday when you're listening. So it was Tuesday before we finished recording. They were happening, and that was Real Madrid versus Arsenal and Bayern versus Lyon. And then Wednesday, as you listen, the games are Wolfsburg versus Barcelona, and then Game 2 of the 4 quadruple Man City versus Chelsea.
This time, City's hosting.
Yeah, this time City's hosting.
What do you think for that game, Allie? Based on, so let's just say it here. Chelsea won the first matchup. They won the, what are you guys calling it? The Subway Cup now?
The
Women's League Cup.
Yep.
And it was kind of a meh game. Let's not, beat around the bush here.
So boring. So boring.
But Chelsea won.
I'm sorry. But Chelsea did win. And yeah, good for them. And I'm going to get yelled at by Chelsea. But I'm like,
can
honestly,
I help you?
It was so boring. That game was so boring. If it makes Chelsea fans feel any better, I thought Manchester City were equally as boring.
So let me ask you one question, because we're not going to spend too much time on this. I'm really excited to talk more about it next week when we have all of the games we can talk about it. Last week, we talked about Manchester City obviously firing Gareth Taylor, bringing in a new interim manager, and how would that affect this matchup? Do you think it affected Manchester City? Positively, negatively, or neutral, not at all?
I think that Manchester City had a bit more oomph about them. I do. I think in that game they had more possession, they had more shots, they were more cohesive as a unit than Chelsea was. I do feel like both teams went into that game being like, this is not the important.
Yeah, probably.
Yes, we want silverware. Chelsea want to be able to do the domestic treble, but they both went into that game being like, this is not the one we have to win.
So you think that this matchup on Wednesday is going to look pretty different?
100%. I think this is going to be a huge game for both. They both want to get into the semi-finals for Champions League. Let's be honest, Chelsea won because of a very unfortunate own goal by Yuya Hasegawa, so she's going to have something that she's going to want to prove in this game. I think it's going to be a really feisty game, and I don't want to predict who's going to win it, because it could be any of them, because you know what? Man City were crossbar away from beating Chelsea by quite a lot in that cup. But as I said, I think Chelsea are going to come out of this with much more firepower, much more chutzpah, shall we say, about it, because this game means more. As much as a trophy's nice, this game means more.
I'm so excited. We're not going to pick winners for these games because we already did that a long time ago when the draw took place. So we're going to rewind. We're going to go back and try to listen and hear who we both picked, because I don't remember, Allie. And then we're going to try to post that on social media.
Yeah, we'll post our brackets and you can see who was right, who was wrong.
Let's go around the world. Around the world, around the world. Kicking it off with France, Lyon are now 10 points clear at the top of the table after their win this weekend. Their closest challengers, PSG, could only manage a draw with Paris FC. Although anything can happen, it does look like the title is staying in Lyon.
To Italy, and despite their loss this weekend to Fiorentina, Juve remain 10 points clear as we reach the final stages. Second place Inter Milan could only manage a draw in their fixture.
And to Germany, big moves this weekend in terms of Champions League qualifications. Bayern Munich beat Wolfsburg 3-1 to remain on top. Bayer Leverkusen beat Bremen 6-0, which makes them 2 points away from the top 3. Eintracht, who are currently second, have a game in hand.
To Scotland, and we have a new league leader. And spoiler alert, it's not a Glaswegian team. Hibs are 2 points clear above second place Rangers after their win against Celtic this weekend. Rangers also won to go second, and Glasgow City have fallen to third.
Over to the WSL, everybody. What a weekend it was. My goodness, there were some results. And we're going to start by talking about the fact that Liverpool took down Manchester United 3-1, playing spoilers over here at the top of the table. Allie, my goodness, we got to get into this game.
Yeah, we've got to get into this game because this game is everything. So Liverpool have come into this game with a great win against Arsenal. Sorry, Sarah, close your ears. In the FA Cup. They have got a new manager, interim manager. Is this new manager bounce? You've got Man United who also come in from a win, beating Sunderland 3-1. And you think this is going to be a game. And for 40-odd minutes, it was all Manchester United. It was like Liverpool didn't even step into the Manchester United box for 40 minutes. It was shot after shot after shot. Bizet has been an absolute revelation at Man United. You thought she was good at Spurs. She's come to Man United and she is something else. Clinton was a bit ropey, but we can forgive that. But it was so many shot after shot after shot. And it was literally Rachel Laws, the Liverpool goalkeeper, that kept them in it because she made some world-class saves.
Okay, so Liverpool ends up winning 3-1, and Manchester United kind of tallied that last one at the very end anyway. So when did Liverpool take over? What shifted? Not necessarily what time, but of the game, but what shifted between these two teams? Because now we're sitting here, and the next question we're going to talk about is this title race over? Because United was the team that was chasing Chelsea.
So what changed was, I feel like Man United got quite complacent. Olivia Smith, who has been phenomenal, and there's not enough respect put on that name because I think she plays for Liverpool. If she was playing for a Chelsea, a Man City, a Man United, people would be talking about her more. But she went on the break for that first goal, and she ran, and she basically walked the ball in. Let's be honest, the defenders backed off. Fallon didn't know what she was doing, and she managed to squeeze that ball under Fallon's body for a 1-0. Man United are stunned. They don't know what they're going to do. They think they're going into first half 0-0 and they can control the game. They're now 1-0 down. Cut to 3 minutes later, rinse and repeat. Olivia Smith gives the most beautiful ball. This is the most simple training ground goal. It's a 3-touch goal. It's Olivia Smith to Sam Kerr, who runs that wing, gets into acres of space, pinpoint cross into the goal, and it's just finished beautifully by Liverpool. Again, Millie Turner backs off. Gabby George backs off. There is no defending from Man United, and they are 2-0 down at half-time, and then their heads drop. And then it was all Liverpool.
It's mental. Their heads dropped, and I feel like first of all, Liverpool next weekend are taking on Arsenal, and with this kind of momentum, they can just go ahead and play spoilers all through the top of the table if they want. The big question, and I feel like part of the reason this result was so huge was not just because Liverpool kind of shocked everybody. Everybody thought United was going to take this. I mean, Liverpool have had a great season so far, but they are middle of the table, and United, before this game, were sitting in second place below Chelsea. They were closest ones to the league leaders. Now with this loss, they're sitting locked on 36 points with Arsenal, and Chelsea are up with 44. Is it all over? Is this Chelsea's title, period, the end?
I think so, because it was a slim shot that Man United could do something. But that involved them having to win every game, including beating Chelsea.
Yeah. And some help from Chelsea across other games, too, yeah.
And some help from Chelsea across other games. I think, put the blue ribbons on the trophy. It's bag. They've got 2 domestic titles right there.
Yeah, I kind of agree, although it's very sad. All right, let's move it along because the bottom of the table popped off this weekend. And it is, you know what? We need to wash our mouths out with soap because we were saying Crystal Palace is going down, period, the end. Aston Villa are saying, hey, no, we're in this too, guys.
Yeah, relegation just got interesting. See that, WPLL? This is why we need this. So, it was the 11th took on 12th. Crystal Palace at home took on Aston Villa, and they won 3-1. This is only their second win the entire season. They've had a couple of draws that have got them in the points. But it means they are 1 point off of safety and the team that is 11th, which is Aston Villa. And you messaged and was like, how bad were Aston Villa to lose to Crystal Palace? And the response was, how good were Crystal Palace? Because Crystal Palace have been so close, but not quite. They almost got that draw with Tottenham, and then they got a goal in the 90th minute. And we've seen that happen a couple of times with Crystal Palace. But they played phenomenal in this game because they knew it was make or break.
This was absolutely make or break because Aston Villa win this game and it's over for Crystal Palace.
Exactly. So they knew they win this game, they go within a point. And the first half of the first half, it was all Villa. Shea, the goalkeeper for Crystal Palace, really had to put in a performance to keep it level. But again, it was the same as what happened with Man United. That first goal went in and Villa's heads dropped.
The greatest mystery to me is what is going on with Aston Villa in these last couple of years. I don't get it. For who they have, they should be so much better.
They should be so much better. And they just dropped. And second half, absolute worldie by Virden. Like, there was nothing the goalkeeper could have done about that. We almost thought Palace were going to trip up because they allowed Villa to get a goal in like the 87th minute. But then, and I'm sorry, Deanna Jones, it's not your fault, but this goal was. So their goalkeeper Sabs, and if you haven't seen it, do watch it. Trying to pump the ball up for another Villa attack. Miskicks it completely, ends up scuffing it behind her, which Katie Stengel latches onto and basically walks the ball into the goal. Because the goalkeeper is in the midfield at this point and makes it 3-1. And I'm going to be honest, out of the two teams, Villa's looking like the more likely to go down.
Yeah, well, so let's look at the schedules and who everybody has left. Villa plays Manchester United next. They'll take on Liverpool, Tottenham, Arsenal, West Ham, and Brighton. On the other side, Crystal Palace. Next is Everton. Then they have Arsenal and then Chelsea, then West Ham, Leicester City, and Manchester City. You really think, I mean, you look at that, Crystal Palace have the harder schedule to play out because they have Arsenal, Chelsea, and City all together. Everton's been good. Leicester City's been good. I feel like the only maybe winnable game in that is probably going to be, well, it could be Leicester City or West Ham, in my opinion, I guess. Yeah.
But you've got to remember, the way Villa are playing at the moment, I can't see them getting any points right now. The way they're playing, I can't see them getting any points. All Leicester need are 2 draws. And I think they could easily get a draw at Everton. They could easily get a draw at West Ham, and they could easily get a draw at Leicester.
Yeah, this game was everything because bringing themselves within 1 point now, Crystal Palace at 9, Villa at 10. It really is just down to some draws here and there.
Exactly, it's down to the draws, and I think I would wager it. I think Villa.
That would be wild. Okay, let's play this out. Let's say Villa goes down, right? First of all. Wow. Just wow. But then you look at who they have on their lineup. Do players like Rachel Daly, Ebony Salmon, Christy Hansen, Lucy Parker, do all of these players just then, like, Missy Bo Kearns, Jordan Nobbs, like, do all of these players, Gabby Nunes, like, what in the world is going on here? Do all of these players just get distributed, essentially, throughout the rest of the WSL? They'll probably leave Aston Villa. They're not going to go play second division football.
As somebody pointed out, maybe they should check their relegation clauses in their contracts.
Maybe they should.
I reckon a lot will get distributed. As somebody pointed out to me, a lot of them could be Michelle Kang fodder in the fact that they might play second string, but at London City.
If I'm Michelle Kang, I'm licking my chops at this. Yes.
Yeah, because I mean, you pick up a Gabby Nunes for next to nothing in the fire sale that would be Villa's relegation.
It would be an absolute fire sale. Yeah.
Yeah. So they will get, I think maybe Jordan and Daly do take a step down because they are on the older side. Not that they can't play WSL football, but I feel like they may take that step down. But for the rest of them, it'll be great pickings for the rest of the team. And unfortunately, that would mean that it would be even harder for Villa to come back up, as we've seen with Bristol City, as we are. Birmingham may do it this season, but we've seen it before. It does take a couple of attempts.
Yeah, it does. All right. Well, we've got Champions League midweek, and then we've got games for the WSL this weekend as well.
And then finally, we have another fantastic interview for you guys. We are talking to the director and the star of Solars United, which is this indie film. It's been picked up for a film festival over here in the UK, but they're hoping to get it distributed worldwide. It's about the little football team that could, wanting to save their pitch. It's fun. It's being dubbed as the queer Bend It Like Beckham. So please enjoy our chat right now.
We are now joined by part of the Solars United team. We are so excited for this. We've been looking forward to this for a couple weeks now. Ali is grinning ear to ear. We are joined by Sara Harrak, who is the director and writer, and the lead actor, Leah Harvey. Leah, you are also an associate producer. Is that right?
Yeah, it was.
Okay, wonderful. And I went to the website. I read some things.
Well done.
And Leah, you're the lead actor who plays the character of Bills. And for those of you who have not heard of Solars United, you're about to hear all about it. And we are really excited to talk about this because this is a crowd-funded queer football short film. And actually, executive producer Dame Kelly Holmes, that's a name everybody will know. The world premiere is this month at the BFI Flair LGBTQ plus festival in London. It premieres this Saturday, the 29th of March at the festival. But we'd love to ask the both of you, for those of our listeners who are interested in watching this, where can they go watch it and when?
A very good question. I'll be honest. So we literally sold out tickets within 5 minutes of releasing, which is great for us and everyone involved. And so we're hoping that there's going to be a plethora of places to watch it within the next sort of couple of months. And we will be sharing all this news on our Instagram, which is at Solars, SOLERS United. So stay tuned on then. We'll drip feed the other places where we'll be screening the film. So yeah, stay tuned. It's coming. Wonderful. I promise.
Everybody go follow on Instagram. We will try to update everybody on the podcast too when you all release that information.
That's awesome.
So we're going to kick it off. First and foremost, the wonderful thing of an elevator pitch. We've read the summary on IMDb, but we want you to tell our audience what this film is about. Go for it.
Solars United is a short film about a grassroots female football club, women's, non-binary, you name it. A club that is struggling to hold on to their pitch and has to find a way of keeping everything together through teamwork. Along the way, they manage their relationships with each other and end up hopefully in a better situation than they were at the beginning. That's my best attempt.
To be fair, that's not too shabby.
Nothing yet everything.
I actually, the way I like to sort of really explain it, and maybe Sarah, you don't know the show, but it's like Derry Girls meets Bend It Like Beckham.
I do know Derry Girls actually.
Perfect. So I mean, they're my two favorite things, and it's just that mashed together essentially, and that's what the kind of vibe and soul of the film is really.
I imagine that's almost the hardest question the both of you get asked because you know everything about the film and you don't want to give everything away. I imagine that's probably one of the hardest questions you've been asked on your press tours. So we mentioned earlier that this short film was entirely crowdfunded. Ali and I and our listeners, our wonderful, beautiful listeners, know a little bit about that. We were crowdfunded to go cover the World Cup. And we think it's just a wonderful source for things that need to get done that sometimes big corporations can't see the value in, but have incredible value and need to be out in the world. So could you talk to us and maybe talk us through the journey of getting this made? What led you to go get the crowdfunding? What led you to that route? And what were some of the ups and downs in your experience along the way?
Yeah, I should just mention that it wasn't, just so you know, it wasn't fully crowdfunded. There was a big chunk crowdfunded. Some of it was independent funding through certain people that we had asked, etc. But
hard work and dedication mostly as well.
It is. I mean, that's the reality. Like, crowdfunding, filmmakers generally, this is just a classic thing to do, crowdfunding. And to be honest, it's probably one of the most difficult things because people don't give, we right now, financially, the world is not that, flourished with money at the moment. So it's even more difficult. And to then go, I need money for a women's queer film, I'm like, They're like, yeah, jog on. You're at the back of the list, and which I, also understand. There's more things, money needs to buy at the moment. But we at the same time we were very fortunate because this film all started off with we won a pitch through M&M's, a chocolate brand, randomly. We're doing a film festival competition, and we won it, and we got through to the last three, and they gave us some money to do a teaser of the film. And we didn't actually, and this is where the downs were, we didn't actually end up going through to the next round, which we would have got lovely, I think it was like 25,000. Here you go make your short film, which would have been a nice, easy thing. And sadly, we didn't get it due to votes. And it was really interesting because I had a conversation with Leah, I think it was like the day after, and I was like, I had put, as well as the team, but I'd really put my heart and soul on plugging the film, getting PR and trying getting people to vote. And like, I really put my all into it, which, it's a good lesson that sometimes, even if you put all your all into something, it just doesn't work out for you. However, in the long run, obviously it has, but I had a chat with Leah. I remember we were on the Roman Road in East London, and I was proper like head in hands kind of situation. I was like really upset by it because there was so much love and potential in this whole thing. And it was like almost, and especially as a director and sort of a co-writer on this anyway, it's really deflating. And then it's like, people don't understand what I'm trying to do here, which hard to, you just love it so much. Anyway, and then Leah was just like, we're going to get this done. And she was like, right, let's make this happen. And she gave me basically that energy boost and that kick up the butt, really, to go, right, yeah, we can do this. And then that's when I've sort of got an exec on board. I got some more producers on board because, again, this is all teamwork. There's no way that one person can do this. And I have had some amazing producers and execs on board who drive the project along. But long story short, yeah, it's pretty tough. But but if you have the right people around you, because a lot of it, you, as a director, you are driving the project. However, there are times where you're going to plummet and the energy, you're going to be depleted. And then that's where, you rely on your team to pick you up or drive it along whilst you need to recharge. So, yeah, that's a really long way of explaining everything. But, yeah, it's tough. But luckily, there are supporters out there.
I feel like a lot of people think that this is such a niche audience. And it's funny to me that it's been labeled as such, because football is the least niche audience in the world, and the queer community has been labeled as a niche audience. Also, I don't find it to be super niche whatsoever. So a queer football film, not sure how that's been labeled niche. I'm curious, Sara, your co-writer, what led you to even have the idea to write about this?
Yeah, so this film basically came from lack of community in my life at that time. I had just moved back. I was living abroad for 3 years, moved back when I was sort of early 30s. And I'd always loved sports, team sports, and was playing football where I was living, which was in Bali. And so I was like, all right, well, I need to make a community quick. I need to make new friends. And so I joined a team called Bangers FC, which are a five-a-side team in East London. It's a brilliant name.
It's a great name.
It's a great name. And essentially, like, I joined in the summertime and it literally became my life. We played twice a week, matches and training, and we would hang out all the time. And it was just such a beautiful experience that I wanted to then share, basically. I wanted to show, because it's really interesting, because when I've shown this film to people that don't even play football, they might play rugby or hockey, they understand the film isn't about specifically football per se. Mm-hmm. That's just a hub, essentially, but it's actually about the community that you have in a team sports. So it's actually, it's not just about football. I think every person who's played a team sport will understand what this is about.
Leah, so how do you get involved, like to become the lead and associate producer? So what's your story with it?
Yeah, so I was approached by Sara, who had already approached Anna Demetriou, who plays Nelly in the film. And Sara approached both of us and asked us if we wanted to be part of this project. And I was, long story short, I was kind of at a point in my career where I'd lost a bit of momentum emotionally in terms of the why and the passion. And I'd had my heart broken by a project that felt like it was supposed to be more successful emotionally for me, and it was very difficult. So I found myself like needing some kind of tonic and trying to work out what that was going to be. And then Sara landed in my life and introduced this project to me, and I said, "Yeah, I'm on board. I'm gonna. This feels right." And the fact that it's about community, the fact that it's about, working on maintaining something, felt just really poignant to me, and I was very much drawn to it from that side. And so I mean, I don't know actually from Sara's side how she came to go Leah, but from my side I was like, I'll take it, I'll do it. So I was very involved. And then when it comes to the associate producer role, like Sara said, we sat down and we talked after the M&M thing, and I was saying this, and I thought to myself, in the same way that I was saying how I was looking for something to really apply myself to kind of spark the excitement that I used to feel when I was little about this job and industry. And I was feeling that from this project, and I was obviously determined that we were going to make it either way, and tried to encourage that in Sara. And then I decided that I wanted to invest in it in a more than just emotionally. So I put some money towards, I donated some money towards it, but like a larger chunk that would give me that kind of role. But yeah, that's it really. That's how I became those two things.
I know Ali's got one more.
I do. I got to talk about the fact that it is being branded as the queer Bend It Like Beckham, which I do feel slightly lazy, because obviously they've gone female football, Bend It Like Beckham, but it's also, I can only name one other film, which is She's the Man. We actually just literally had a debate about which was better. You can guess which one the American went and which one the British went.
It can't just be about personal taste. It has to be about that, huh?
With 5 guesses. So would you agree with that, or do you think that is just lazy branding, and why is it so important to have that positive queer representation out there?
I'll be honest, this is the first time not the first time, we've had a few podcasts as well, but I'm hearing the queer Bend It Like Beckham, but I'll take it. To even be on any branding for our film, to be anywhere near the likes of Bend It Like Beckham, which is such a cult film, for me as a director is like, wow, so it's like a big we've done an okay job here, guys. So that's really exciting to hear that. And and I think the reality is like, Bend It Like Beckham was for its time, and we're now here, and this is now the new story. And like anything, it can be sort of dusted off and created into the now and the modern version, let's say. I don't know, but yeah, it's an absolute honor to even be nearly compared to Bend It Like Beckham. So yeah.
It's funny as well, because I wouldn't even say it's necessarily lazy. Like it's one of the only ones. Yeah. It's the kind of the only thing you can compare it to. Yeah. In the same way that we say, this is like this show, or this is the only one.
Yeah.
So it's the only thing we got, babes.
Yeah.
I feel like we're half of these questions we're asking we didn't even expect to, because we just have so much to ask you both. I guess, I mean, along the lines, Sara, what you were saying about community, I think it's going to resonate with a lot of people. It certainly resonates with me. I grew up playing football and a bunch of other sports. And in my adult life, when I don't have that built in, that's how I've sought out friends and sought out community. The tried and true joke that, like, I don't know how to make friends if it's not through soccer. Kind of true, but it also gives you this sense of community that people really crave. And kind of along those lines, I feel like within the football community, or just actually within the queer community, there's been a lot of discussion in terms of content that's been put out, whether it's movies, whether it's TV shows, whether it's short films, that there's not a lot of queer content that very accurately represents life. In other words, a lot of queer content is about the fact that people are queer, and not just like, these are people and they are living their lives and they happen to be queer, but we're not just going to talk about that one thing. Mm-hmm. How much does that resonate with you both? How much did that kind of play a role in the making of this for the both of you?
I mean, for me, hugely. I mean, that's the biggest thing. This is a story about human beings. It's not a story about being gay per se, or queer, and that's really important in my storytelling, because there's two things, and I'm not naive to. I live in London, and I know we're very fortunate in being queer and being able to be a bit more out there and stuff. But it's an important thing that we have here is that we can show what is possible and show the change. And I think there's always space for queer films when it's hard hitting about coming out, and but for me as a storyteller, as a director, I want to show the other side. I want to show that this is like I keep going back to it, it's a human story, right? This film is a comedy, but there's still a lot of heart in there, and some of the characters are queer. That's but that's not the story, that isn't it's the whole. There's loads of other things that are happening for these people, and like I said, my community's 99% queer, to be honest. So, and obviously it's all very normal to us, and it's nice to have this sort of to show this kind of world, and I think also with comedy, it's a really interesting genre, which I think people don't really realize, is that when you can make people laugh, you can join people together. And I think that's also what's quite powerful in a way, is that it's not about being queer, it's about these human beings and telling a story about these people. So yeah.
Wonderful. Leah, anything to add on your end?
Only that being an actor as well, it's really lovely to play a character and be in a project where it's not about the pain of being, it's about just being. And there is pain in being, but it's because the person is just experiencing life and isn't necessarily fighting against something fundamental. And that feels really lovely. And for me, it's been an opportunity to be able to explore my own queerness in my work, because up until I think Bills is the first queer character I ever played.
Oh wow!
Like written that way,
Yeah.
Also,
not just the undertones.
Not just the undertones, because there were undertones in some other characters, but they weren't written like that. Do you know what I mean?
You just threw them in there.
Yeah, look at me. How can you not? Yeah. So that's but that's for me is a big deal, and very special for me as well. And since then, actually, I've been able to. I don't know, maybe life has just happened like this, or maybe I've just screaming gay more, I don't know. But more opportunities like this have come along where I've been able to explore that part of my own identity within my work, and it's been really lovely. And I was nervous about it at first, but it's been great.
That was very poetic, by the way.
And we're going to move on from the poetic to the serious and important stuff, which is, let's talk about the football of it all. I want to talk about your relationship with football, who you support, and Leah, did you have to do a lot of training for this movie? Because I remember an interview, I think it was Keira Knightley, was like, yeah, I was training with the Chelsea women's team to get myself up there.
I wish.
Yeah,
the Chelsea women's team.
That budget was not there for that. Sorry.
So yeah, let's talk about your relationship. Did you grow up playing football? Was it always something that was part of your life, or
was that me or Sara?
We'll go with you first, Leah. Go on.
With me, yeah. So no, I didn't play much football. I was a dancer when I was younger. So I spent my days after school going to a little dance school and learning tap and ballet and all that stuff. But I did play netball, and then I tried to play football at school, and they tried to start a girls' club, but it wasn't a very well facilitated first session. And so I think most of us were like, we're crap, we're never going to do this again. And I never did it again. But I did play when I was at college. We mucked around, and but not properly until taking part in this film. And we did a training session when we first did the trailer, the teaser. And then I went and joined the Clapton FC Open Access, which is on a Saturday morning. And I go there now most Saturdays as much as I can. And I play football, and I'm I'm finding a lovely community in it, and it's something I needed and something I now have, which is great. I did twist my ankle a few weeks ago though, so I haven't been in a few weeks because otherwise I'll hurt it again. So I've had to be sensible, but I'm playing now, and I do feel like it's changed my life a little bit, which has been really nice. I also am a member of Clapton FC, and I went to my first game last weekend, which was really nice.
That's wonderful. Those twisted ankles, they never get better.
I'm telling you. It's hard though, because I have to be in one piece for work.
Yeah.
And so it's doing any sport is really challenging when you're constantly on a contract. And at the moment I'm in the middle of maybe like I'm gonna go back to something, but I could maybe I gotta be careful. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pay those bills, babe.
Yeah, gotta pay those bills.
What about you, Sara?
So I brought up with it. I always played football when I was younger. I remember my mum always saying, my dad would take me to the shops and he'd be like, what toy do you want? And I'd straight away pick up a football. And he's like, no, not that football. No, and then I was like, no, this is what I'm playing. And I remember it was my birthday. And it was probably from Argos back in the day when you're circling things, but you strap it onto you and it was like had this string and there was football at the end and I just do kicky uppies and it was like the best thing ever.
So cute.
Yeah, I loved it. And then when I was so I used to play football always with the boys. And then I remember even the other day, actually, my mum said to me, she said, I remember one of the dads from the boys who I used to play with, they used to go, I wish I had a daughter like that. That's exactly why I wanted a girl who loved football. Oh. And they actually ended up taking me to like a Man United game where, David Beckham was playing when he had his curtains back in the day. Mm-hmm. But I have to say, in my older age, I've been less watching football, more playing football, which is, quite nice. But because when I was younger, I was supported Arsenal and my family did that. So Ali's not a fan. Arsenal is who I would say I'd support.
And I was just saying, yeah, like it's like when your family does a thing and like you're like, but just by association, Arsenal, because my brother supports Arsenal. So like,
by Upton Park, how
I know,
how?
No, but I'll tell you how. It's because every Saturday no one could park anywhere, and the noise was really bad, and there were hooligans. I remember the hooligans. It's a bit better now, I must say. As in, like, the hooliganism isn't as bad anymore.
That's so great.
I'm so disappointed.
I know I'm sorry.
Wonderful. Well, that's all we have for both of you. Is there anything that you hope to relay to all of our listeners that we didn't get to ask you about?
Yeah, I think for me, it's just to say that, our long-term plan is to make this into a TV series. And we're kind of trying to make that ball, roll, as it were. But we really do need the support of the community as much as possible to follow, to engage, to share. Because sometimes you do need to prove to people that people will watch this show. And so anyway, anyone can sort of help do that, whether it's just following us on Instagram, sharing. Please do reach out because I would really appreciate it.
For those of you wondering, Sara mentioned it, but you can follow on Instagram at Solers United, SOLERS United. You can just Google Solers United and
you'll find us.
IMDb page, the website, the trailer, which is on YouTube, everything. So for those of you listening, just do that. That's it. Thank you both so much for joining us. A reminder to everybody, keep checking the Instagram. We will keep you updated on where you can watch it because tickets are sold out for the premiere. So Ali and I can't go, and neither can any of you. But we're all going to stay updated.
Even go.
Yeah. What? But we're all going to stay updated on how we can watch. So keep checking back on our socials, their socials, and of course on the podcast. Thank you both so much for being on.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
That's it for us here at the Women's Soccer Show. We hope you've enjoyed this episode. As always, we'll be back next Wednesday. If you want extra content, head over to our Patreon, patreon.com/TheWoso Show. That's the WOSO Show. Plenty of content going up there. Thanks to Ali every single week. So head on over there. And that's it for us this week. I've been Sara.
And I've been Ali.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night.
This podcast was edited by Monkey Hill Media. Visit monkeyhillmedia.com for more information.